time to move on to our third and final panel discussion, the topic for which is harnessing digital for customer engagement, higher sales, and growth. To participate in this discussion, I would like to invite, first of all, Mr. Grant Fitzpatrick, Group After Sales Director, Al-Mansour Automotive. Mr. Fitzpatrick started his journey with GM in 1982. He moved to Dubai at the GM Middle East Training Center as a technical instructor in 2002. In 2011, he joined as after sales director in Al Jomaya Automotives in Saudi Arabia, worked with Ford Middle East, and was after sales director for distributor markets, Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific. Mr. Fitzpatrick was committee member, GM Advisory Council, and launched the GM Advanced Technical Training Centers in the Philippines in 2008. We would also welcome back Mr. M. Dhananjayan, MD, Focus Group. Please also welcome Mr. Daryl DeSalis, VP BD Amplus Solar. Mr. DeSalis has been in the solar space since 2014. He believes in channelizing and directing sales forces. A pedigree in global and major accounts breakthrough, Mr. DeSalis got a 100 kWp project done for his alma mater. He currently sources business from the commercial and industrial space at Amplus Solar. A home chef and a foodie, you'll find Mr. DeSalis staring at roofs when he travels. Please also welcome Mr. Kevin Patrick Boyce, who is Customer Care and After Sales Manager, Cadillac Chevrolet Europe. Before this, he was After Sales Manager at GM UK and Ireland, and Country Manager After Sales at GM Middle East, covering Iraq, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Bahrain. Please also welcome Mr. Akash Gupta, MD, AMG Corporation. Mr. Akash Gupta, formerly with Autog, is a dynamic entrepreneur with a diverse exposure to automotive businesses in the family and possesses a sharp talent to drive multiple businesses. He has a Bachelor of Business Administration from BMCC Pune and post-graduation in management from SP Jain, Mumbai. He has also completed the Strategic Retail Management Certificate Program from Indian School of Business in Hyderabad. And finally, to tie our panelists together, we have, of course, the CEO of World Auto Forum, Mr. Anuj Guglani. Over to you, Anuj.
Thanks a ton, Anita ma'am, and a big welcome to our friends from all over the world. So we have our friends, we have Mr. Fitzpatrick, who has joined us from Cairo, Egypt. We have Mr. Kevin Boyce, who has joined us, I think, from Switzerland, if I'm not wrong. And then, of course, we have Mr. Akash Gupta. Akash, I see a new look, huh? Just even I've changed mine, and I can see you also having a new look. And of course, we have Mr. Daryl, who is from Amplus Solar, and they're on a mission to power automotive by solar and make automotive truly green. And then, of course, we have DJ. He is the expert on SOPs and on after sales systems worldwide. So friends, we have a very interesting topic, something which took everybody by storm. And that, of course, was the digital explosion during this year of pandemic. So what I'll do, I'll just quickly share my screen and show you that email that we had exchanged, that email that we were working on, all of us were working on. I'll just quickly open that up and just share it for the points, important points. Just let me know when you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
I can see it, Anuj.
Great, that's fantastic. So friends, our topic for this discussion is harnessing digital for customer engagement, higher sales and growth. So we've all seen a digital explosion, but what can be done in a relevant way, effective way, actionable way is what we are looking at. So these were a few cues for discussion, which we can always build and expand on. So we know that we are still amidst the pandemic, and we have seen all the lockdowns and containment zones happen. And the pandemic has seen record levels of adoption and consumption of digital. At the same time, there is also a clutter of apps, websites, and digital services. So, and amongst the digital options and tools, which works best for after sales business is what we can, talk on and share our best practices. Then coming to customer, consumer behavior varies in every part of the world. In your part of the world, what is the preferred digital communication preference, of the customer, the medium? Then what can be some best practices of customer engagement on social media? Like we had heard the earlier speakers also say that like Murli sir had mentioned this point in the first panel, that what kind of experience you gets, reflected on social media in real time. And it is 100x in terms of dissemination if it's a bad experience or a poor one. So coming to WhatsApp is used across the world. So what are the best things that can be done? And also I would like to add the things which you should not do with WhatsApp. Then how do you manage and solve irate customers on digital and social media? Because when customers go on a digital rampage, how to engage? What is the principle? Are rules still the same, or they have been tweaked or modified? They're using Google as a tool for customer acquisition or retention. Some things that you might have done in your territories which have given you results. Emails and texts, are they still relevant, or have they gone out of vogue and out of fashion now? Then how are your companies using, the third party apps? Then data privacy and security was never important than it is now. And we also are having new laws and rules passed all across the world. How are you managing the data privacy and security issues and the challenges? And what can be the opportunity in that? And coming to our good old DMS, what can be the best practices of DMS? How we can possibly integrate with some third party apps, or how we can use in conjunction with some other digital tools. So these are a few cues for us. And of course, we need not get too techy about it, because at the end of the day, we are all automotive and after sales professionals. But what is most important is how are we applying, using, harnessing these technologies, digital, especially in the year of pandemic when their adoption has gone through the roof. So let's begin with an international flavor. If we can get Mr. Grant Fitzpatrick in the conversation, and if he can share his side of the story, how digital has been his journey.
Hi, everybody, and thanks, Anuj. I appreciate the nice introduction also from Anita. I think one thing that has to be mentioned first off is that everything is very localized. I mean, what works in one country or one market may not necessarily work in another. And just as an example of that, when I worked in Saudi Arabia, Twitter was the #1 way to reach customers. That was the preferred medium that they used on a digital scale. Here in Egypt, it tends to be more Facebook related and WhatsApp related. But I think, generally the overall message is you need to be consistent no matter what the medium is you're going to use. You need to be consistent in the message that you want to send to your customers, and that you want to focus on building the customer loyalty. I'm a little bit old school, but I still believe that the DMS is #1. That's our greatest ally that we have in any distributor or dealer. If you utilize that data effectively, and you utilize that and you continually update that data so that it's current, you have the best chance of reaching any customer that you might have. The easiest way to do that, obviously, is to make sure that everything is centralized. There's too many companies, they use spreadsheets, they have, a DMS that does not tie everything together and make that 360-degree connection between with the customer base. And what you end up with is everybody working in silos, and sales is trying to contact their customers because they don't have access to service. Service is trying to contact their customers because maybe they don't have access to sales or to parts or to the previously owned vehicle section. So I think that for an existing base, your database or your DMS is your best friend. As far as reaching out to other new potential clients, new potential customers, there's a lot of ways to do that through groups. We have a couple of big groups here in Egypt. First one being the Optra group, second one being the Insignia group. And we utilize them as best we can to be advocates for the brand and advocates for the service. One of the questions I noticed that was in there was to handling irate customers. And a lot of the time they go to these groups, they get information from them, and what they end up doing is they you know, it's the web can be our best friend, but it can be our worst enemy. It can help us a lot, but at the same time, if there's a problem, so many more people hear about it than obviously we'd like to. So you need to quell those problems and address those issues right away. And we work very closely with the groups. If there's situations that arise, be it parts or be it service, be it product concerns, we do our absolute best to try to address it either with the manufacturer or with the group directly in order to get a solution for that, so that the group in turn can be an advocate for us. I mean, there's lots of other things that I can add to that, but I think maybe I'll give the other panel members a chance to give some input on your question as well.
So it's nice to know, Grant, that DMS has still not gone out of fashion, right? Because that's where the real data lies of our customers. And at the end of the day, nobody can know our business better than us. So if we have put so much of time, resources, energy in preparing, some software or some service, and yes, we can always make it better. But then at the end of the day, that should be the bedrock or the foundation of going digital. Because a Google might not know my business as good as me. It can be an additional tool. So I really like that point, that it is not old. I really feel it is not old fashioned, if you really believe in your DMS and if you can build on that. And yes, I forgot to mention that DJ joins us from his Dubai office. So we have everyone from all across the world. In the morning, we have from Australia, then we have from Egypt, from Europe, and DJ is from Dubai. So it's fantastic. It's truly global. So switching gears and shifting a bit geographically and getting Mr. Kevin Boyce in the conversation. Kevin, you're there?
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invite. I feel utterly privileged and honoured to be here. Thank you.
Well, the honour is all ours.
No, and moving on from what Grant spoke about, one of the main, we've seen a massive shift from normal the normal standard customer interaction to a more digital interaction. But interestingly, the age groups, people, the younger people, not like any of us, I'm afraid, we are more used to the digital, but we're now seeing a much more interaction from the older age groups of our customers. And the pandemic has definitely accelerated that age group's involvement in technology and purchasing technology as well. And connectivity actually with our customers is key to us. And in Europe, we have many connectivity programs whereby the vehicle itself is connected to the internet. The customer's connected to the internet via the vehicle, and all the manufacturers have this connection to the customer and can see, not spying, but if the customer allows. And we have very strict data privacy laws here in Europe as well. But so with all that connection with the customer through the vehicle, and we have that, it's a great tool, but often the customer is not using it. The take up on those systems is not always, roughly in the region of 40–50%, which isn't very high, frankly. But that tool is there, and then customers take this, they go the Google route, they'll go all the other WhatsApp route, and we've seen many of our dealers here in Europe for our brands, embracing this technology and connecting to the customers through WhatsApp, through the internet. And there's some exciting projects starting here where customers are, on the sales point of view, are actually being able to view their vehicles from home with private individual vehicle assessments online, so the customers can see, they can walk around the vehicle, the sales guy or the service guy in the workshop or in the showroom is holding a video camera with a direct live link to the customer. So there's a massive shift from the traditional vehicle sales and service arena to a digital platform, which is really quite exciting, really.
So, Mr. Boyce, if I can ask you here that, scenario one, the classic scenario when the customer and the advisor or the technician would be standing, next to each other and the car is being inspected and explained, or the vehicle. And scenario two, when it's being explained via a live link remotely, what are the additional skills which are required by our teams to do that? And what are the additional concerns that the customer might have because of the distance, physical distance?
Well, I think quite often, the situation would be the customer would come to the workshop for a service or a repair or whatever. And, he would be speaking to the service advisor. The service advisor would take all the details, and those details would then be passed on to the technician in the workshop who's carrying out the repair. And so, but in the digital world, we're actually connecting the technician quite often to the customer. So the technician, that same traditional process happens, but then the technician is underneath the vehicle, he's got his camera, he's walking around, and then that video clip has then been sent directly to the customer. So you're actually connecting the customer, almost not bypassing the service advisor, but you're actually connecting the customer directly into the workshop, which I think most customers, do like. Buying a car in Europe, especially some of the prestige brands, is a very expensive proposition. And customers, they want to know what is wrong with their car or what's good with the car. They like that interaction. I see a hand being raised by DJ.
Hi, Kevin. You're talking about See It Now. See It Now is the personalized video communication platform that is being used globally. This is something we have also, in the last 2 years, implemented in India and Middle East. I'm very happy that you're bringing this complete transparency tool that really brings in sales, used car, and also the after sales. That is really a great way forward, because earlier we used to send emails or give them a call or just send in a photo attachment and things. But this tool, what Kevin Boyce is talking about, is called See It Now. So for which we are the implementation partners for India, Middle East, Sri Lanka, and Africa. So that's a great example, Kevin.
That's great. So DJ, any learnings from implementing this tool, which you might have had across regions?
Yes. So primarily, the question that you are asking about, Kevin, what are the real skills, or what are the real challenges? Is first of all, as all of us as individuals, we are not much familiar to face the camera and then speak. So primarily,
Right.
one of the important things is the communication, body language, and then how do you communicate the message in a very clear, crisp, and then it is more important is there's an option that he can speak in the local language and then communicate to the customer. So that's a very personal, emotional connect. So that is one. Second thing, as you were talking about digitalization, DMS, these tools are all integrated. Integration is possible, and by a click on by just the customer can at his own convenience see what are the works that his vehicle has to be performed, and then he can approve the jobs or he can disapprove the jobs. So this not only gives the customer a clarity about what works to be carried out and what is the future that he needs to do also. That way, both it's a win-win for the customer and also the dealership, because they get a digital dashboard to see what all they have recommended. So the promise is delivered at the end of the day, because manually we can't remember too many things in our lives, or even the service advisor task in a dealership is almost 20-25 activities just to do. He has to reply to the management, he has to reply to his managers, he has to reply to customers, he has to coordinate with his subordinates. How much things he can remember? So this particular tool called See It Now, which Kevin mentioned, is also having that live function which clearly connects the customer and the dealership in a very, very transparent method, so that a continued engagement happens with the customer and the dealership. So this is, at least during this COVID times, there has been number of dealer partners across the globe transforming into this new mode of communication mechanism, which is a personalized video communication. So DMS again is also transforming a lot from what it used to be, just a kind of a making an estimation or an invoice. It now connects with other systems to communicate and bring a lot of transparency in the system.
Okay,
Anuj.
so that's a fair point, DJ. So DJ is telling us after implementing this tool of remote diagnosis and live link that it gets much better and easier for the explanation. So if a tool can help, so there are multiple benefits. A, the customer is not inconvenienced of visiting again and again the workshop, because the customers don't like visiting again and again, leaving their work and coming. Then customers also don't like that some work gets done and they are not informed or they are not updated. So if some tool can give me real time updates, if it can enhance transparency of work, and I feel that the workshop is not trying to do with things which are unrequired or not trying to overcharge me, then it can be a huge benefit. And that too, as Mr. Boyce had mentioned, that it's the high-end vehicles where this service is given, and they take pride in using it. So that's a very good attribute. So now, yeah, so did you want to say something?
So, Anuj,
Yeah.
so one more thing, it's not only the communication pattern that you're actually communicating to the customers. You also get a feedback as a voice of the customers, which is also captured. So, in our experience in these markets, the customers are given a very good rating, and also especially when they come, if the driver doesn't come or the chauffeur doesn't come, if they come to the dealership, it is also giving us a very good feedback. And in many cases, like India, you have a chopper-driven market, and the vehicles are taken by these people to the service centers. Whereas in Middle East, it's like a different scenario where 50 to 60% would be the real user coming to the workshop. So in both these cases also, it becomes a digital communication being recorded, and you can also backtrack and see what was communicated and what has been approved. So we are getting very good positive responses with this, because it is enhancing and giving a more customer engagement.
Great. So that it's nice to know that the end has been connected. If it is delivering on a particular business attribute that is of customer retention, satisfaction, transparency, less repeat repairs, less visits to the workshop, all these are business attributes. These are for customer convenience. Even better, it's really better. So now, trying to get Daryl in the conversation. Daryl, of course, belongs to the solar energy industry, and we are doing too much auto talks right now over here. It's always good to be a bit industry agnostic, in learnings and implementation. So Daryl, if we can invite you to share some digital metrics or some digital strategies that you have implemented possibly at your solar sites, which are giving you some dashboards, which is making your life and your client's life easier.
Thank you, Anuj. Thank you, Anita, for the kind introduction. One takeaway from Grant and Kevin and DJ is that whenever my vehicle goes into service next, I know what to ask for. So that's great learning. Thank you, gentlemen.
We all learn from each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. The pandemic was the first of its kind for all of us in this forum. And we were coerced into finding different ways to conduct regular business. That was challenge number one. You could not go to a customer, you could not go to a site because of the pandemic. But pre-pandemic, if you were to look at the IoT or Internet of Things, typically when you have a solar plant sitting on your roof, once it is installed, manual intervention is at the minimum, apart from cleaning of panels and doing routine maintenance. The rest of it, whether it's an energy parameter or irradiation parameter, is all online. So this existed before the pandemic. For us in the business, what changed during the pandemic was we had to, what Grant talked about was a DMS. We developed internally in-house at Amplus a tool whereby all salespeople could make customer information updated more or less on a real-time basis. And I think that the pandemic gave us the bandwidth in terms of time and in terms of domain to cast this. And we are seeing extraordinary benefit in terms of tracking of names. Because one of the key challenge for any salesperson is to manage your customer base. And if you don't manage your prospects effectively, you will always have a challenge. So this tool now drives our business, and it gives us extraordinary advantage in terms of tracking on a weekly basis, monthly basis, to know how your transactions are doing. Since Amplus is now a 850 plus megawatt company, which only does plants, solar plants in the commercial and industrial space, it's important for us to focus on the type of customers we bring in through the grid. The credit norms, the credit risk and the credit norms are getting tighter and meaner by the day because of the volatility that exists in business. If you look at our customer base, it's like the who's who and marquee customer base. So we have to continue and aspire to do that. And therefore, if with this tool, we've been able to effectively communicate much more within the team as well as to the outside customer. This is on the inside. On the outside, we've used a lot of social media in times. For example, if you're a large auto company and, in terms of the chain of command or the spread of management across the company, we've kind of used social media judiciously to reach out to the respective resource. It has found some favor. Like Grant said, this is old school. It's fledging at the moment because, like you rightly said, the age group is shifting. We're seeing a clear trend there. More people are going into social media. So it is a tool which needs to be used effectively. The effectiveness will happen when transactions come through the gate. But more importantly is the measurement of the action. I think the budgets and the measurement of those actions is something that needs to get tighter. And I'm sure with a lot of AI coming in, a lot of algorithms coming in, more and more focus in terms of monitoring systems on the spend that you put out will lead to larger effectiveness. So this is something that we are doing at Amplus, and we are seeing this in the kind of results that we've got. Typically, ours is a feet on street business where we have to interface with the customer because the nuances of the transaction are legal, financial, technical, civil, mechanical, you name it all, including admin. So if typically the whole boardroom is involved in this transaction and it gets driven top down. For us to administer this, social media does help a lot. So this is one learning we've had, Anuj, from the pandemic. Thank you.
Great. So friends, now you know why we had invited Mr. Daryl to this conversation, because it's very important to learn from other industries and sectors, because at times we get too limited. We are not able to go out of the box. So at times we have to actually get rid of the box and come in an open area where we can see a nice sun shining, and we can always harness Amplus. And the other reason why we got Mr. Daryl here, because Amplus is our annual partner also at World Auto Forum for a very special reason. All of you know that VAF does a lot of research and DD in whom it makes its partners. So amongst the several solar energy partners that we studied and researched, Amplus was one shining example. And because they work with so many automotive companies, so they are doing this brilliant job of making automotive the greenest industry possible, because as automotive, we keep facing the flack all the time that you pollute, you do this, you do that. Even if you are EV, you might be more dependent on fossil fuels and thermal, you are still producing carbon emissions. So our friends at Amplus, they put the solar rooftops at warehouses, dealerships, automotive plants, and they are actually running so many facilities purely powered by solar. And as I had shared earlier too, I was talking to one of these persons in the warehouse and also in the factory, Automotive. They said that they are addicted to solar energy because it takes care of their bill. And if that is the case, then we thought a lot of digital initiatives would be done by them. Now, switching gears, friends, and getting Mr. Akash Gupta in the conversation, who is leading multiple automotive businesses. And because he's leading multiple automotive businesses, which includes dealership, auto retail, which includes spare parts, manufacturing, distribution, and many other businesses which I might not even be aware of. So, how is he harnessing digital in all his businesses, and what can be the common element which helps him integrate and helps him stay abreast with the business updates, as a dashboard. So, Akash, you're there?
Hi Anuj. Thank you so much for inviting me to this esteemed panel, for giving me an opportunity to share my experience in going digital for customer engagement, higher sales, and growth. So I am typically going to give an insight from the spare part side of the industry, and also become a voice of the SME, the small, medium, and enterprise in India, that how even companies in SME are going digital. So we all are convinced with the fact that the way forward is digital, and the future lies with technology-driven businesses, be it big or small. So if I may say so, it's inevitable not only for B2C, but for B2B models also. I would like to speak about the digital transformation at our company, AMG Corporation, how we went from a tech poor to a tech rich company within 12 months. And to tell you about AMG Corporation, ours is an independent aftermarket brand in the Indian automotive aftermarket industry, which sells and promotes NVH and suspension components. And it's typically a B2B business model where our customers are the spare part distributors, dealers, wholesalers, retailers, and mechanic workshops. So in 2018 October, I started with 2 software engineers, and we mapped and documented our business processes in depth. In my experience, it basically starts with imagining your business in an integrated manner where all functions and departments work seamlessly on one integrated platform and not on parallel systems. I had realized that the key is in the design and the policy of your business model that would eventually answer all your questions. So when I say, deciding on the design and the policy of your business model, it surely means defining the do's and the don'ts in the business, and laying down a framework, an architecture around which the system can be developed. So this also leads to a lot of change in the culture, and change comes with a cost. So one has to be very strong in his mindset to really go down this path. So I think we selected different software and apps that suited our business processes, and custom built a whole solution into one single platform where all our business functions were integrated, right from procurement to manufacturing to sales and distribution, solidly backed up by accounts, finance, and HR modules. The system connects all stakeholders together: suppliers, customers, operation team, transporters, field teams, top management, promoters, even to that matter, auditors, and the government agencies. So this is how we actually went digital and brought entire business operations on a real-time digital platform. And with this, I can definitely say what we have achieved. We have achieved the 3C and the 3S in our business. This is not from any book or management guru, but my own experience and learning. So the first C, I say, is clarity with consistency. Our technology developed seamless clarity across functions. Every action is now visible in real time and every time. It led to precision and error-free environment. The second C is the confidence. It generated reliability and dependability factor in all the stakeholders, and everyone involved in the business can have peaceful sleep at night now. The third C is the cost control. It powered us to scale up our business with marginal addition in the manpower resources. We can do more for less. Coming to the 3S, the first S I say is the speed. What I realize is that humans love to interact with machines because they are highly responsive. So in our system, what we brought in was a complete suite for our customers, including from new orders to the order status, target versus achievements, the ledger statements, incentive credit notes, online payments, and loyalty program just at a click. To that extent, our customers are now buying spare parts through credit card payment options and also interesting EMI options. So that is something new that has started in the industry as a trend. And the second S is the scale. We say, we are enrolling new customers in new geographies every day without any fatigue. So our entire customer enrollment has also gone online. And we crossed 500 customer enrollment pre-COVID within 3 months. And our target is to enroll 5,000 plus direct distributors and dealers in India in the next 3 years. So this is just impossible to achieve, manage, and run without technology being on your side. And the last S I say is the size. We are able to uphold the same customer service level, even for a customer size of 18,000 rupees per month to a 10 lakh rupee customer per month, very flawlessly and very seamlessly. So this is how we are able to execute orders which are just one box in size, or maybe n number of boxes in size also at any corner of the country. So this is how we have really benefited by going digital in our business. And we feel that we have set a new benchmark in the industry. We are sure in the coming time, many other spare part players in India will also follow this path and harness the technology in the coming time. So that was from my side.
Sure, Akash. So quick questions, so which are, very nice digitally, like, it's seamless to, order and send digital, and which are the parts, of course, I understand parts which are more expensive, parts which are heavier. Of course, nobody would order a crankshaft of a truck on Amazon. I don't know, they might. But what are the kind of parts which are fast moving on digital? And yes, and everything sounds very hunky-dory with digital, but I'm sure every new thing comes with its own set of challenges. It could be people, culture, technology. It could be data privacy. So what have been the challenges, if you can present the other side as well,
Yeah, so as I said, it's a complete cultural change, and change comes with a cost. So the point that I actually wanted to make is that you have to be very strong in your mindset and be ready to eliminate everything that shows resistance towards going digital. When we say going digital means it's a very harsh path to walk up. And we have had instances where we had to terminate people even from the top management who showed resistance in doing this. We also have lost distributors and dealer customers who showed resistance to this because we stuck to our own policies. So that you need to be very strong and clear on that front. You need to initially lose little bit in order to gain in the long term. And the first question that you asked was, which are the parts which really sell well online? So
Yes.
I would just like to clarify that, we are a little bit different than the other spare part online retailers. Like you have Budmo or Go Mechanic, or maybe, Spares Hub online. Here it is our own product. It is our own network. So we are a principal brand, and we are basically selling in our network to the distributors and dealers. So
This was B2B basically.
yeah, so like we have got 1,000 plus components in the suspension and NVH category across three-wheeler, the passenger car, LCV and HCV segments. So initially we had a challenge where our customers would order only top 200 selling items out of 1,000, and others we used to not receive orders. But now we are able to run schemes and offers and attract customers digitally all at once, and are able to track order for 800 odd items out of 1,000. So
Great.
that's the
That's
kind of
fantastic.
change. Yeah.
That's fantastic, Akash. So we can see that despite the challenges of digital, you did not give up. You and your organization put your foot down. You had to do away with some dealers and businesses. Still, you were confident of your digital vision. Now, circling back to
Absolutely.
Grant. So, Grant, you have in your group, you have several brands. I think hardly any brand you would have missed out, which is not in your kitty when you are representing, in the Middle East and North Africa. So in this region, when you're handling multiple brands, every OEM, every brand comes with its own packet of digital services, sub vendors, companies, strategies. So is it really a breaking experience, or is it a learning experience? How do you manage to integrate and satisfy and apply all the diverse digital requirements and requests by diverse OEMs? How do you do that?
Well, think it's a bit of a challenging question, but I think, to be quite honest with you, you can look at it as if it's a bit of a handicap, but at the same time, it's probably more of an advantage because, we deal with MG, we deal with Chevrolet, we deal with Opel, we deal with Peugeot. Um, you get to see, and they're sourced from all over the world. We get some cars from Europe, some from Japan, some from China. You get to see the best of what each manufacturer is recommending. So you can kind of tailor what you want to do or how you would like to approach things in a best practice method. You get to see it gives you a little bit more opportunity for trial and error. You can try 4 different things at the same time because you've got 4 different brands. The Chinese are very big when it comes to digitalization. With the MG brand, they are all of our training is done online. A lot of the brand equity and the brand building, everything is done via the internet. They push us for digitalizing our service experience for customers as much as possible. GM is similar with the Chevrolet brand, and we deal both with GM in China, GM in Korea, or GM DAT, and also we have our own CKD plant here in Egypt. GM is very advanced when it comes to, as far as on a global scale goes, I've worked for a number of manufacturers. GM is far and away the number 1 manufacturer when it comes to support mechanisms for distributors or dealers. We really try to, as I said, to utilize the best practices that we can get from many of the manufacturers. PSA, which is Opel and Peugeot, because they've become PSA Group now, they're also focused on a lot of different digitalization, and not so much in the service side, more so on the sales side. So we don't get as much exposure to certain opportunities maybe with them, but some of them we have to create on our own. And I think, honestly, to circle back to the question that you asked and directly answer it, yeah, it can be looked at as a challenge, but it's much more of an opportunity than it is a threat for us to have multi-brand and get that visibility on what the different manufacturers have to offer or what they require.
All right. So when you're exposed to so many different, digital practices, so in a way you can easily aggregate all the best practices of the industry, all the brands. So at Al-Mansour, do you have a layer which is above all the brands, like your own common digital cloud layer, where you get a dashboard from all the brands and you can have a ringside view of what's going on anytime?
Yes and no. Yes, we use SAP. That's what our DMS is. We do have that ability to aggregate all of our brands into one platform. We don't normally do that though, but our database is one. So, we have one database for MG, Chevrolet, Opel, Peugeot, Chevrolet trucks. All of our data goes into one database. That works to our advantage more than anything else. And you know, if one, let's say, for example, we get pushed, or well, not pushed, but General Motors wants to practice something in our distributor as far as online appointment booking tied into the DMS. If we find that that works, which I think we all agree that it would, then we can cascade that into the other brands, and we can discuss with the manufacturer the success that we've had with one particular brand, and that will just evolve into utilizing it for another brand a little bit later on. So yeah, we will try different things with different manufacturers. If one we find we have more success with, then we will, without question, we will try to implement that into the other brands with, of course, the support of the manufacturer.
So they're not too finicky about their proprietary stuff. They say, fine, it's a good thing you use it for the other brand as well. Sorry, a contentious one.
Well, sometimes you have households that will have multiple manufacturers for vehicles in their family. You might have a family that has an MG vehicle, a Peugeot, and a Chevrolet vehicle in their family. So they're going to be integrated no matter what. We won't utilize data from one manufacturer, obviously, to cannibalize off of another one, because that would be kind of a misappropriation of data. But I mean,
Absolutely.
the data more or less belongs to the distributor. So what we do with that data, whether we will send out, an email blast, for example, to all of our customers, albeit whatever the brand is that they own. Yes, we will do that at times, because I think from a distributor perspective, it's in our best interest to do that. And the distributor, as I said, they own the data, not the manufacturer. And we're trying to grow in any direction that we can. And obviously, the manufacturer that has the best product, the best service, so they offer the best prices on different things, they're going to be the ones that have an advantage there.
Sure, fair enough. So with that, getting Mr. Kevin Boyce in the conversation. So Mr. Boyce, our friend Grant had mentioned that he really appreciates the General Motors systems, of IT and digital. So if you can shed some light, or if you can pick some of your favorite digital aspects in the General Motors system, which you feel they really deliver.
Well, I mean, it's interesting what Grant says, and I know Grant from many years ago. But and the GM, has many IT systems around the world, but quite often the program, the system operating in America is not compatible to Europe or not compatible for Middle East, and so each region develops their own systems and databases, which I know the GM Middle East operation did. So I don't know what systems Grant is actually talking about, and if they are generic global systems or bespoke Middle East ones developed by the team in Dubai. So, but it's interesting what he said. When you have a distributors with multi-brands, and so my role, I manage the Cadillac and Chevrolet organization Aftersales here in Europe, and we have gone through a big change, the sale from Opel Vauxhall to PSA, which Grant also mentioned. And so we're now a small, a lean organization selling bespoke brands here in Europe. But quite often, all our dealers that we sell the vehicles to are multi-branded, because that is the way the world is going. The world is going down multi-branded dealerships. In the UK, and I'm actually in the UK, not in Switzerland, but that's okay. And many of the move is towards service centres that are even totally neutral, so that the customer will have his car picked up, taken away for the day, and then taken to a service station with no branding, and then repaired and returned. That looks to be the future, the way things are going. But Grant also mentioned about online training, and we introduced, we launched a couple of new car, well, one new car this year, and we did a totally online training, for the first time ever here in Europe. So we've embraced. I think the pandemic has accelerated a lot of the digital engagement, and we, we've had to move with those with the times in the area. So it would be not fair for me to talk about what the systems that Grant is referring to, really.
Okay, no worries. So let's come to the consumer now. Like, if you can just share what kind of communication. Say, if we talk about Europe as a region, what kind of communication the customers are more likely to respond and engage with? Whether it's the email, it's the SMS, it's the WhatsApp, or is it any other medium that you feel is the choice of the customers? If you can, shed some light on that.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I mean, I think that, the days of post is finished. The actual, sending customers a letter in the post, inviting them to an open day at the dealer or an event. Them days are finished. And even phone calls. I mean, we a lot of our customers are, we have quite a few football players who are our customers. Multi-millionaire guys, and they don't even want to pick up the phone. They do everything by text, everything. And it's really the whole world has changed, as we know. So and earlier on, as mentioned about social media. So social media can be a great thing. It can also be a challenge, because that's a great place for a customer to vent his frustrations, let's say. But all those things have to be managed in the right way. And then sometimes you have to take them out of the social media, out of that, into a face-to-face situation. It doesn't happen that often, but that obviously does happen. But manufacturers nowadays are, they are using WhatsApp. But in Europe, we have a particular challenge with the data protection. Data protection in Europe has become a massive challenge for consumers, for companies, because the fines now, if you're misusing customers' data in any shape or form, the fines to a company are extreme. And Grant also mentioned about, or it might be Grant, one of the other speakers, that selling products online. The world, we've moved from Amazon in the UK and Amazon in Europe is just, it's just incredible what's happened in these last 6 months. But there is data, there is consumer protection when you in Europe, different if you buy a product face to face compared to if you buy a product online. And in Europe now, the customers have the right to return any product with no defect up to 30 days. So people are buying cars online. That gives the opportunity for the customer to return that product for no defect, within 30 days. So online has its great advantages, but it does also have its challenges. And I don't think the legislators have caught up with the way that the consumers are moving, frankly.
Surely. So now we can have a sort of an open forum if you want to share, in your country units, in your regions, how consumers might have responded during the lockdown. Like when the lockdown opened up, how the servicing also opened up, whether the customers were preferring vehicle service at doorstep, or they were preferring a multi-brand or a specifically solo car brand service. Some thoughts on that? So please feel free to share.
Yeah, so I mean, just from a European point of view, again,
Sure.
There's been an increase in the pick up and collect, and so people want their car collected from their home and taken to the garage. But also, and we've seen an increase in mobile servicing. And we've seen an increase in companies that are offering mobile servicing at people's homes, and that as a result of the pandemic.
Like in India, there's a huge issue of a vehicle warranty. If you get the vehicle serviced or repaired from anywhere except the OEM workshop, then whatever the warranty period is, it gets lapsed, it gets forfeited. So because of that fear, people in the first few years, as long as the warranty exists, they send it to the OEM workshop only. So no multi-brand or no aftermarket, no nothing. So is that a similar case in Europe, or it's much more different and evolved?
And again, in Europe, it's interesting because there was a regulations come in some years ago called the block exemption rules. And this basically meant for a consumer, he could have his car serviced at any garage, and still, but the parts used, the materials used, must conform to the manufacturer standards. So that enabled, OEM suppliers or just suppliers from all around the world to offer oil filters, air filters. As long as those were manufactured to the same specifications of the manufacturer, then under European regulations, the warranty was valid still.
Great. That's nice to know. You want to come in on this, DJ, on some?
Yeah, Anuj. Yeah. So with respect to the Middle East, also if you look at, there is a lot of change that is currently happening with respect to, the home-based services is really a big market that is really evolving. So people prefer also, a pickup drop facilities that is being encouraged. If you look at during this whole process, a contactless journey has been really a key word among all the brands. Everyone talks about online appointment. Everyone talks about pickup drops. So there are a lot of apps also that got developed during this whole process for a customer to be at ease that what exactly is happening from the vehicle that is being picked from his doorstep till the time that the vehicle is delivered back. So there is a lot of a process that is being getting integrated together and is being given as one solution. So from a customer mindset point of view, it is really is how extra effort that you're taking, and also the major important thing on sanitization. So people are really educating, at least between May, June, there was a lot of campaigns that was run that it is really safe to visit the dealership. It is really safe to give you a vehicle. So a lot of that kind of an initiation that happened. So while we all talk about digitalization, one element is still a part of the future of after sales that will continue to be is the customer emotional engagement. So culturally, if you look at Middle East, it is also very like in India and also in Europe and rest of the world as well. The emotional engagement is very important. Whereas if you look at from Europe, there is a lot of the percentage of cars visiting a dealership is a multi-brand or a do-it-yourself. So DIY is a very a famous thing in European market, where you can buy your part and go to the service center and then just get it fixed. So that's a kind of evaluation that we can see coming out into India and also in the Middle East, because parts are available with the same quality online, and also it is also sometimes customers gets into the customization process. So Anuj, you can reflect back the artist topic that is also coming in. So that digitalization is going to evolve the complete after sales business right from a customer first touch point to the end. Unless you don't marry all this, because there are a lot of tools. Some tools are only contributing towards appointment system. Some tools are only contributing towards workshop automation. Some tools are contributing post-service activities or capturing customer feedbacks. So all this will, for sure, in next 3-4 years, we'll have only one system where DMS, everything will get married together, and then that would give a kind of a one dashboard view for the customers, not only from a perspective of knowing the information about what the car is serviced, it is also from the perspective of enhance safety on the roads. Today, a lot of non-genuine parts, parts that are not being recommended, even the repairs of the way it has to be carried out is also a challenge for the safety on the road. So the digital tools not only makes the customer life easy, but also will bring in a lot of safety elements moving forward while we are all speaking. So one more point, Anuj, as part of your points that you discussed on as part of best practices of customer engagement on social media. This is something people like in one of the sessions in the morning, Bhajan sir or someone said, earlier customer has to come and complain at your doorstep. Today, even before we have seen a lot of cases where even before the customer service, people have complained so that they get an extraordinary attention while they are being serviced. So that kind of negative side of the element is also there, which is something as a what we generally call as a risk assessment has to be also looked at while the whole digital engagement is done. So mostly, like for example, see now is a global data protection rights So Europe or Middle East or India, everywhere today, the data protection is a big topic. So that is one, might be an area of challenge as we go forward, because cyber security is also not being spoken still much into the auto industry, because that is something in the future, when you get connected vehicles on the road. So these are some of the in the thought process I thought I would share.
Sure. So that's a very important point on which we would like to close in next few minutes. So cybersecurity being, on the priority. So friends, if you've seen this latest report on cyber attacks by a consulting company called Subex, it says that the top most cyber attacked countries in the world were US, and next was India. And then, of course, there were other countries too. And the cyber attacks originated from, again, top 3, 4 countries. They were like countries like Ukraine, Slovenia, China. So if you want to share, it's only, it's voluntary. If you have ever faced, in your organization, a cyber attack, and how you have managed it, because when we talk about digital on one side and all the benefits and the efficiency and the productivity and the dashboards, there is always this looming danger of a cyber attack or a hacking attack or somebody stealing your data. So what can be the top 3 best practices? Of course, there is no 100% guarantee against anything, but what can be the few top 3 things which we can do to ensure, to minimize the probability of something like this, which can be very unfortunate. If you can share, and then next couple of minutes we'll close the session.
I know from a GM point of view that we have a very robust cyber police. Let's call them the cyber attack police. And we as employees we are quite often, we get a good training every year on what to look for from emails coming in. If they've been infected with viruses or whatever, and quite often we're actually sent emails on a regular basis. We're not regular, on a case by case basis to see if we're paying alert to these other emails coming in. So we're sent dummy emails by our IT team to see if we're paying attention, and we have a way to report emails of harm. But on our new range of vehicles, with the new digital vehicle platforms, all have cybersecurity as part of the vehicle electrical architecture. So that has become very much part of the vehicle design that we can see now.
That's very nice to know, Mr. Boyce. So any other thoughts on cyber security before we wrap up this discussion?
I'll just add a quick comment if that's okay.
Sure.
And yeah, I agree with everything that Kevin said. And I think that having an IT department that checks on your staff is a very good idea by sending out mails to see if they're going to open a phishing email or not. But the other thing is, it's not about what just comes in, it's about what goes out. And any company computers, any company electronics, or anything that's have access to the internet, there needs to be safeguards put in place as far as what people can download, what sites they can visit. They may not like it, but in the end, it's a protective measure against, as I said earlier, the company's most valuable asset, which is, aside from its people, its data. So
absolutely,
we need to be proactive in the things, and we need to support that as leaders, that this is the right thing to do, and this is why you need to do it.
Sure. So Akash, Daryl, some cybersecurity initiatives you have in your organizations, though please share if you wish to.
Yeah. One is we have hosted our system on a remote cloud, and which is protected by firewall. And since it is hosted with Amazon Web Services, the reliability and the brand of Amazon gives us some sense of security in that sense. And as our colleagues have already told here, that it is most important to have a monitoring practice in your own organization, what comes in and what goes out, both ways. And have basic hygiene and cleanliness in the data will also ensure less redundancies and less threats.
Fair enough. So blind trust on Amazon for that, huh? Right, Akash?
Absolutely.
So if
Go
we
with
go
the
down,
best.
that means Jeff has already gone down. So then rest assured we are safe.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So some ending remarks on that, Daryl, before we wrap up the session.
Cybersecurity is not my domain. The IT guy would be the right guy, but we follow all the protocols, whatever they lay down, and they are adhered to. I think that's important as we go along.
Great. I think that's more than what is said. So actions speak louder than words. So if you are following your IT department's, compliances, I think half the battle is already won. So I think with that, we'll wrap up this session. Thanks a ton, gentlemen, for joining us. Please do not log off because we have the felicitation ceremony for each one of you, because each one of you is special and you've taken our time on a weekend, and we are extremely thankful to you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for that most interesting discussion. Even though I'm a layman, I could gather quite a bit from there. And to felicitate our speakers for this panel, I would like to invite Mr. Arindam Lahiri, CEO ASDC, Mr. Siddhant Chandel, Manager Media Marketing Patriot, Mr. Priyesh Kumar, Head of Sales Operations for Volkswagen India. And our first felicitation is to Mr. Grant Fitzpatrick. Mr. Dhananjayan. Mr. Kevin Patrick Boyce. Mr. Akash Gupta. Say applause. So, and of course, to a very, very loud round of applause from all of us to Anuj for absolutely, and for kind of holding the team together. You should hear his patience when we are all pulling out our hair. So thank you so much, Anuj. Thank you.
So my wife's a dog. She gets a patient then.
Well done, Anuj.
Okay, so thanks a ton, gentlemen. Thank you so very much for taking
Thank you,
your
Anuj.
time on a Saturday.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Anuj.
Having this very important
Thank you,
discussion
Anuj.
on
Thank you
digital and
all.
cyber.
It's lovely to
Thanks
interact
a
with the
ton.
team.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thanks.
great day. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.